Let's talk about editing your essays. We talked last week about the writing process, and you know that there are two important steps to writing your essay. One, you have to revise your essays, which means you look at the content and the organization to make sure everything makes sense and you have enough support. But you also have to edit for mistakes with grammar, with word choice and word forms, spelling, punctuation, capitalization, all those kinds of things. So why do we edit? Think about that for a moment. Why do we edit? Why is that even important for us to edit our essays? What did you come up with? Maybe some of you said it's important to edit our essays so that they sound good, so that we don't have mistakes, so our teachers give us a good grade, so we get a job. Those are all really good reasons. It's important to put a good presentation forward. Imagine if you go to a job interview and you show up in your pajamas. What do you think that the person who is interviewing you is going to think? Probably not going to think that you're very professional. And it's the same thing with our writing. Our writing can be formal or informal, and we want to make sure that we put forward our best view, that we look the best that we can when we're writing. And we also want to make sure that people understand us. We want to have accuracy in our writing so that the message we're trying to show people actually understand that message. If it's so important, then why don't some students edit? Think about that for a moment. Why don't students edit their essays if it's so important? What reasons did you come up with? Did you say maybe that they're lazy? Yes, that might be true. Did you say that they don't have time? That's probably true also. Or did you maybe say something like they don't know how to edit their essays? Well, I can't really help you with the first one. If you're lazy and you're not editing just because you're lazy, you've got to work on that yourself. But if you feel like you don't edit because you don't have time or you don't know how, we'll talk about some strategies now that might help you to save time or help you to edit a little bit better. So here's a couple of ways that you can edit your essays. One way that you can edit your essay is just to take a break. When you finish writing your essay, go do something else, even if it's just for 15 minutes. But the longer of a break you can take in between writing your essay and proofreading your essay, the more effective you're going to be at editing your essay. So if you can, take a break for an hour or two. Go for a walk, make some lunch, do something else, and then come back to your essay. It's really best if you can write your essay and then come back to it a day or two later. You're more likely to see errors because you have fresh eyes. Second way to edit your essay is to read the essay out loud. Make sure that you actually say what you're reading, that what's there on the page is what you're actually saying when you read it out loud. But this can be a really great strategy because sometimes students are better at listening in English than they are at reading. Their skills, their speaking and listening skills are stronger. And so sometimes when you read it out loud, you'll hear something kind of funny that you didn't really notice when you were writing. Or another way to do this, instead of reading it out loud yourself, is you can copy and paste sentences or paragraphs into Google Translate and then have Google Translate read it for you in English. Okay. Another really great technique is to read the last sentence first and then read from the end to the beginning of your essay. This is called backwards editing. I know it sounds a little weird, but this can actually be a very effective technique. So you start with the very last sentence of your essay, and you read just that sentence and check the sentence for grammar errors. Then you go to the second to last sentence. Do the same thing and go back and back and back and back and back from all the way from the end to the beginning. The reason that this helps you to edit is because it makes you a more objective editor. And what that means is objective means that you look at it without passing judgment. Sometimes when we read our essay from beginning to end, it makes sense to us because we wrote it. It's our essay. It's what we wanted to say. When you read it backwards, all of a sudden the essay doesn't make as much sense anymore because you're reading it backwards. So you're not thinking about it like your essay. You can treat each individual sentence like a grammar exercise from a textbook. It's a little bit easier to edit when you're just focusing on one sentence at a time. Check grammar only and not content with this technique. That's really important, right? That makes sense. If you're reading it backwards, the content and the organization are not going to make any sense. So you're really just checking grammar here, right? Pretend you're doing textbook exercises. Another technique that you can use is to take breaks in the middle when you're writing. So write one paragraph, edit that paragraph from the last sentence to the first sentence, and then write another paragraph and repeat. And just go paragraph by paragraph, writing, editing, writing, editing. Another editing technique is to focus on a grammar point that you know is difficult for you. For example, do verb tenses give you trouble? Are articles difficult for you? Or it might be another problem. When you go through your essay and read it, mark each problem with a small dot. So if you know that verb tenses are a problem for you, just mark every verb with a small dot. Go back and check each one. Make sure that the verb tense is correct, that you got good subject-verb agreement. If you have time, choose another grammar point and go through and do the same thing. And just like the backwards technique, pretend like you're doing textbook exercises. Just check one sentence at a time. Check one verb tense at a time. So a summary, some methods that you can use. 1, read aloud. 2, back read. 3, look for specific points. So I would recommend that you try one method on your essay. Maybe take 5 minutes right now if you have time and try this technique out on the essay that you've been working on, and find a technique that works for you. You don't have to try every single technique, but experiment a little bit. Try out some different techniques and hopefully you can find something that helps you to be a better editor.